Before anyone else on the other side saddles up and gets on their high legal horses, I just want to remind the committee that the chairman is 754 days into his own subpoena defiance.
Once again, Democrats flipping the script on these MAGA Republicans. This took place earlier today at the Judiciary Committee hearing where the MAGA Republicans wanted to pull this big stunt where they were going to bring in Attorney General Merrick Garland and spew their lies and propaganda. But the Democrats basically took control of the committee hearing and showed how hypocritical and how the MAGA Republican Party does not stand for law and order. They are part of a cult run by a convicted felon and somebody adjudicated to have committed sexual assault. In this next clip right here, Democratic Congress member Adam Schiff says, sure, it's unprecedented that the leader of the Republican Party was convicted, but it's unprecedented what Donald Trump did and that we all know he did because we observed it and we can follow the evidence. Here, play this clip.
They would tear it down. In the service of this convicted felon, they would tear everything down. They would tear the house of this democracy down around them. They say it's unprecedented to bring charges against a former president. You're damn right it's unprecedented. We've never had a president of the United States who was making hush money payments to a porn star and then falsifying business records to cover it up. Yeah, that's unprecedented. We've never had a president withhold classified information and then obstruct the investigation. That is unprecedented. We've never had a president incite a violent attack on the Capitol. That is unprecedented. And you know what else is unprecedented? The fact that so many leaders of that party are perfectly fine with all of that. In their headlong pursuit of power, they're perfectly fine with that. They're going to nominate a convicted felon as their presidential candidate.
And Democratic Congress member Cohen says the ultimate irony here is that Matt Gaetz is saying that the DOJ is weaponized. What happened to his prosecution? Here, play this clip.
I noticed Mr. Gaetz, who took you on first, is not here now. And that's unfortunate because he is living testament to the fact and direct evidence that you have not weaponized the Justice Department. He was investigated for sex trafficking, and while many expected a prosecution, you chose not to prosecute this very active Republican. Is that true? You did not prosecute him?
I'm sorry, I'm not sure what is in the public record and what's not, so I'm just not going to comment on that.
Then Democratic Congress member Eric Swalwell said, it's always interesting to me when these MAGA Republicans talk about states' rights until states' rights don't matter to them, where their cult leader is convicted in a state where the cult leader committed crimes. Watch Democratic Congress member Swalwell just state facts, and then the MAGA Republicans tried to say, take down his words, strike it from the record. Here, play this clip.
And guys, I'm starting to think you're in a cult. That is your right, but it's not your responsibility. I promise you that's not what your constituents would want. So if you believe in states' rights, except when a jury in that state convicts your nominee for president, you might be in a cult. If you claim you back the blue but want to defund the police when the police go to your nominee's house to retrieve national security secrets, you might be in a cult. If you're supporting a guy whose felony convictions prevent him from getting a security clearance, you might be in a cult. And if the guy you're supporting for president has felony convictions that prevent him from going to Argentina, Australia, Brazil, Cambodia, Canada, Chile, China, Cuba, Dominican Republic, Egypt, Ethiopia, Hong Kong,
my motion
India,
takes precedent.
Indonesia, Iran, Ireland, Israel, Japan, Kenya, Macau, Malaysia, Mexico, Morocco, Nepal, New Zealand, Peru, Philippines, Singapore, South Africa, South Korea, Taiwan, Tanzania, Tunisia, Turkey, Ukraine, United Arab Emirates, and the UK,
the gentleman from Kentucky is recognized for 5 minutes. I'm asking to...
By the way, when the MAGA Republicans did that at the committee hearing, it kind of proved the point that they were in a cult. Next up, Democratic Congress member Adam Schiff, once again, talking about how these MAGA Republicans rather than standing for law and order, are just trying to cope with the fact that their dear leader was convicted of multiple felony counts for committing crimes. Here, play this clip.
That's his problem. That's the problem of all my Republican colleagues right now, and that is they're about to nominate a convicted felon. And they don't know how to cope with that. They don't know how to cope with the justice system that, in fact, treats Donald Trump the same as it would any other citizen. And so they have to push these conspiracy theories that they know are patently false. And they try to run over you with questions they won't let you answer, because their whole arguments are utterly insupportable and destructive of our justice system. They care more about this convicted felon than they do the country. I have to say I'm pleased and a bit surprised to see that the flag in this committee is still flying right side up, because they want to turn it upside down, even as they want to turn our justice system upside down.
And then, of course, Democratic Congressmember Eric Swalwell had to take another jab at Matt Gaetz. Here, play this clip.
Mr. Attorney General, last week it was reported that House Ethics Panel subpoenas DOJ for Gaetz records. It was a May 14, 2024 political piece. I'd like to submit it to the record with unanimous consent.
Without objection.
I just want to get this straight. Mr. Gaetz wants the Attorney General to reopen and publicize evidence from an investigation that a Donald Trump-appointed prosecutor closed against President Biden, while at the same time, Mr. Gaetz himself is being protected by the same DOJ policy that is refusing to voluntarily turn over evidence from Mr. Gaetz's sex trafficking investigation.
So you may be saying, what was this hearing about? It seems that the Democrats were taking the upper hand. Well, the MAGA Republicans were, talking about holding Merrick Garland in contempt unless he showed up. And Merrick Garland, the Attorney General, showed up. And, this is where the MAGA Republicans spew their conspiracies. Weren't you and President Biden, despite the fact that we say he's so sleepy and he can't do anything, didn't you mastermind these state prosecutions, which is, again, entirely false. That's what they wanted to do. They want that theater so that they can go on Hannity and all their right-wing propaganda networks, the ones that are found liable for defamation and pay massive defamation settlements, like Fox paying out nearly $1 billion in a defamation settlement, or the Epoch Times, whose CFO was just criminally indicted, or the Miles Guo network, who was also criminally indicted for $1 billion. But that's what they want to do. So here's Matt Gaetz just spewing a bunch of baseless nonsense, but he's performing right now for Fox. But I just want to show you, what is it that they're doing? Here, play this clip.
I'm sorry, I don't agree with anything you just said, but I'm not going to comment on it.
Okay, so you won't comment on it, Mr. Attorney General, but you had no problem dispatching Matthew Colangelo. Who's Matthew Colangelo?
That is false. I did not dispatch Matthew Colangelo.
Matthew Colangelo became the Assistant Attorney General at the very beginning of the Biden administration. Without having been Senate confirmed, goes and gets this senior role at the DOJ. And then after, I believe it's Gupta replaces Colangelo, Colangelo makes this remarkable downstream career journey from the U.S. Department of Justice in Washington, D.C., and then pops up in Alvin Bragg's office to go get Trump. And you're saying that's just a career choice that was made that has nothing to do with the lawfare coordinated by the DOJ.
I'm saying it's false. I did not dispatch Mr. Colangelo anywhere.
Well, do you know how he ended up there?
I assume he applied for a job there and got the job.
But see,
And then you have another MAGA Republican Congress member, Fitzgerald, who's not a lawyer, who's trying to cite case law to Attorney General Merrick Garland, who is one of the most respected and well-read lawyers, scholars, former circuit court judges, should have been on the Supreme Court, and just watch how Merrick Garland just takes him down. It's you're not reading the case right. You don't know what the Mitchell case actually stands for. Here, play this clip.
Yeah. Right. So let me go back. In the United States versus Mitchell, during the Watergate District Court case, Judge Sirica held that by releasing portions of a subpoenaed recording in transcript form for publication, the president's claim of confidentiality and that privilege associated with it was no longer valid, since the conversations were no longer confidential. You produced the transcripts to this committee, correct?
Yes.
And prior to producing the transcripts to the committee, they were leaked to the press. So based on Mitchell, which is still good law, the recordings are, in fact, no longer confidential, aren't they?
Can I respond? I'm sorry, that's not what Mitchell was about at all. Mitchell was, first of all, about transcripts created by President Nixon, for which there was plenty of reason to believe that they were not accurate. And secondly, it had to do with the confidentiality of communications between Nixon and his staff. And once he provided the transcripts, the court said those communications were no longer confidential. That is not the allegation. That is not what we're asserting here. Here we're asserting confidentiality over the audio, not confidentiality, but protection of the audio in a criminal investigation, an interview, not a staff meeting.
And here I think is an important point in the hearing where Merrick Garland talks about the threats that the Department of Justice has received as a result of this conduct by Donald Trump and the MAGA Republicans attacking law and order. Play this clip.
This effort is only the most recent in a long line of attacks on the Justice Department's work. It comes alongside threats to defund particular department investigations, most recently the special counsel's prosecution of the former president. It comes alongside false claims that a jury verdict in a state trial brought by a local district attorney was somehow controlled by the Justice Department. That conspiracy theory is an attack on the judicial process itself. It comes as individual career agents and prosecutors have been singled out just for doing their jobs. It comes as baseless and extremely dangerous falsehoods are being spread about the FBI's law enforcement operations. And it comes at a time when we are seeing heinous threats of violence being directed at the Justice Department's career civil servants. These repeated attacks on the Justice Department are unprecedented and they are unfounded. These attacks have not and they will not influence our decision-making. I view contempt as a serious matter, but I will not jeopardize the ability of our prosecutors and agents to do their jobs effectively in future investigations. I will not be intimidated, and the Justice Department will not be intimidated. We will continue to do our jobs free from political influence, and we will not back down from defending democracy. I look forward to your questions.
I'll show you this brief clip right here of Jim Jordan, who chairs the Judiciary Committee, making a fool of himself. Play this clip.
Do you regret the pick?
I'm sorry,
Do you regret picking him?
no, I do not regret picking him.
Well, prosecutors aren't supposed to tamper with evidence, and it looks like that's what he did. He changed the sequence of the documents that he seized from Mar-a-Lago.
I'm sorry, that's a false characterization, but that is ongoing.
Here's what he said to the court, Mr. Attorney General. There are some boxes where the order of items within the box is not the same as in the associated scans. I mean, he said it. I didn't say it. He told the court that.
Now you're asking me to comment on a discovery dispute that's ongoing in a court. I don't know the facts of it, and I'm not going to comment on it.
No, this is from Jack Smith filing with the court. He admitted to the court that they tampered with the evidence. He mishandled the very documents he's charging President Trump with mishandling. And I'm just asking, do you regret picking this guy as the special counsel in the most important special counsel investigation probably in American history?
I'm sorry, I did not hear the words tamper in the statement that Mr. Smith filed. He did not use those words.
And back to the Democratic Congress members taking control of this hearing. Here, once again, is Congressmember Ted Lieu right here. And Congressmember Ted Lieu says, look, it just seems that what these MAGA Republicans really want, what they're trying to do here is they want to release audio of President Biden's interview so they could try to clip it and make fun of his stutter. Is that what this whole hearing is about? Well done, Ted Lieu. Here's Congressmember Lieu. Play this clip.
And I want to move on to another subject. Our gentleman from Arizona on the other side of the aisle gave away the game today when he said why he wanted the audio transcript. He said, we wouldn't know if Joe Biden had said and. So I just want to ask you this question. Special Counsel Robert Hur said that this transcript was accurate. The written transcript was an accurate rendition of the audio transcript, correct? Except for some stutters.
Yes.
So what the gentleman from Arizona wants is that transcript audio with the and. Because Joe Biden stutters. He's had a stuttering problem his entire life. He overcame stuttering. He was made fun of in school, and he overcame this disability to become president of the United States, a leader of the free world. And it is despicable that my Republican colleagues want to go after him for his stuttering problem. They should apologize, and I yield back.
Gentleman yields back. The gentleman from North Carolina is recognized.
And then just going back to the point that Congressmember Schiff made is that these MAGA Republicans, in trying to cope and normalize this behavior, have really just attacked law and order, the core of law and order. You've got MAGA Republicans like Andy Biggs making posts that he says all Americans commit at least 3 felonies every single day. That's one of the things that MAGA Republicans are going with. 3 felonies every day. And here is the RNC co-chair speaking on an interview earlier this morning about how they would make plans and think it's very normal for Donald Trump to give a convention speech from prison. Here, play the clip.
But let's say Trump is behind bars, and again, it is a possibility. Would he make a speech from prison? Would he make a speech before sentencing day? Just something that you could play during the RNC? Are those contingencies being thought about, considered, and planned for?
Everything is being thought about. Everything is being considered at this point in time. We will have to wait and see kind of what the courts present us with the opportunity to do. But look, Donald Trump will communicate directly with the American voters the way that he always does.
Oh, believe me, Mr. Chairman, I can feel the audience right now upset that I'm asking these questions, but I have to ask them just because we are in such uncharted territory.
Folks, there was once a time where, on a bipartisan basis, Democrats, Republicans, independents, we could call out just unlawful behavior, right? In Watergate, we could say what Nixon did was wrong. Now, what Nixon did compared to what Donald Trump did, Nixon is like a footnote compared to the massive criminality and attempts to destroy our democracy. But the MAGA Republicans, looking back at the lessons learned, was not how do we come together and root out crimes. MAGA Republicans said, how do we root for crimes? How do we root for authoritarians? And how do we claim power by ripping apart the beautiful tapestry that's formed our incredible country and put it in good stead for so long? That's what's so unfortunate about this all. There's nothing normal about Donald Trump's behavior, and I'm glad Democrats are calling it out. Hit subscribe. Help us get to 3 million subscribers here at the MeidasTouch Network. And if you want to support the work we're doing, also go to patreon.com/MeidasTouch. Have a wonderful day.
Love this video? Make sure you stay up to date on the latest breaking news and all things Meidas by signing up to the MeidasTouch newsletter at MeidasTouch.com/newsletter.